Yeah, it's we've seen an increasing frequency of wintertime wildfires, not just here in Colorado, but in many landscapes in the West. In the case of the Marshall Fire, in between Christmas and New Year's, so what would normally be the depths of winter, it was a number of conditions that we have seen more frequently that kind of lined up together to create a fire that didn't just burn in an unusual season, but also burned in an unusual landscape. This is not the flaming mountainside that we're used to seeing in Colorado with a fire in a densely fueled forest. This was a fire that burned into suburbia and was really an urban firestorm. So, as you mentioned, we've had a very severe drought for quite some time, and the 6 months leading up to the fire was some of the driest conditions for that time of year on record. But that actually followed a reasonably wet spring, and while that might sound like it would be helpful, what it actually does in that condition is lead to a huge bloom of what firefighters call fine fuels. So basically grasses and scrub. And so you have a huge amount of that fuel grow up, and then 6 months of drought to just dry it out to be as flammable as it can be. And then that lined up with the fact that, because we had so little precipitation, there's no snow on the ground. So most of those grasses wouldn't just be moist, they'd actually be covered by that snow and very often pushed down by it, laid down on the ground. So they're not standing up like matches to ignite. They're, flat on the ground and under snow and sheltered from any flames or sparks that might hit them. And then that combined with, although the day of the fire, wasn't really unusual as far as the warmth that we saw. Several of the months leading up to it were very much warmer than we normally see, so that cured those fuels even more. And then you have a wind event that we're seeing more frequently as well. The winds, pushed 115 miles per hour, and that's one of the biggest drivers of fire, and particularly fire in fuels like that grass fire. They can move incredibly fast, much faster than a human being can run. So what we are seeing is those conditions happening more frequently. In the case of drought and aridity, it's lasting longer, and so that allows these multiple conditions to line up more often. Basically, you can think of it as each one of those is kind of an open window. And to have a disaster like this, all the windows have to be open. Well, the windows are bigger now and they're open more often. So you're much more likely to see those conditions line up in a way that can lead to a disastrous fire like this.